And if not a hero, he's a criminal. Shut up!
Perhaps I'm both. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Streaming for Vengeance. I'm your buddy, Admiral Teag. It's good to see everyone here. Say hi. Please hit those like and follow buttons. If you're coming through later, leave me a comment. It was an interesting view for me last night. Last night, I went to see Mission Impossible 8. Okay, there are 7 movies preceding this in the franchise. I got number 8. This is supposedly going to be the end. And I would honestly say it probably needed to be. The movie has great action. So if that's something you're worried about, don't fret. The movie has fantastic action. And if you could do me a favor and tweet out that I'm live, that would help. That would help. I'm just, coming here after a Memorial Day weekend to say hi. It's great that everybody was here. I hope all of you had a good weekend. I hope all of you celebrated. I hope everyone had a meaningful Memorial Day. I know you're not really supposed to say Happy Memorial Day. It's something that I'm kind of used to. So this situation is pretty bad. I'm a little bit concerned as far as the people who make movies and operate movie theaters go based on seeing Mission Impossible 8 Final Reckoning, right? So here's the headline on this one. I sat through Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, and man, it was a total letdown. I was so bored, I couldn't even muster the energy to be confused by the mess of a plot, because honestly, I just stopped caring. The movie tries way too hard to tie together every Mission Impossible storyline from the past, throwing characters at us who are, how do I put it? They pop in and out of the narrative like they're playing hide and seek. They keep throwing characters at you. Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt escapes multiple he's definitely dead moments, and there's zero explanation. 1 minute he's doomed, then he's chilling with someone who's patching him up. This happens like twice. It's lazy, maybe, or just disastrously edited. The film feels like it's scavenging scraps from better spy flicks. There's a gag straight out of The Spy Who Loved Me, and a final fight that's basically a knockoff of The Living Daylights. So there you go. You've got that. After 8 movies, I would have thought that Mission Impossible had a bigger presence and had more to say with more of its own lore. I think they changed it up one too many times. Nope. It's just Tom Cruise, and he's doing wild but well-filmed stunts and not much of anything else. So save your popcorn for something with more soul. And these were the bullet points. By the way, the movie's about, I gave it, in a goodwill sort of way, I gave it about 4 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10 movie. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's right there in the 4 out of 10 range. You won't leave this movie angry. You won't feel like you've wasted your time, but you won't feel like you've invested your money very well. You won't feel rewarded. I don't think you're going to want to buy it. This is going to get bought as part of a complete box set. It's never going to be its own purchase. I don't think people want to see it. And let's try this new feature here. Let's see how that one goes. But hello, everybody. It's good to see you. Welcome to the new people who joined. And let's get back to the Mission Impossible review. Listen, these are the reasons I found it bad. It was boring. It was disengaging. It dragged so much, I couldn't get interested enough to care about the convoluted plot twists. And there were a couple. The movie was seemingly, it had a slight feeling of being unfinished. It wasn't the greatest. Messy character appearances. People show up and vanish randomly, and they make it hard to follow who's relevant or why. I'm being honest. Hey, Suzanne, good to see you. It's good to see you there. Hi. Welcome to the show. I saw Mission Impossible. It's Mission Impossible 8 already, and they worked everything they could into this, including a lot of human member berries. So we had messy character appearances with people showing up and vanishing randomly, making it hard to figure out who's relevant and why. I tweeted through the movie because it was that boring, and Rocco the Brave tweeted back to me about how, watch for Mr. Phelps Jr., who gets exposed as Mr. Phelps Jr. in the dumbest dialogue you've ever heard. And he just shows up somewhere in a tuxedo. It's completely inappropriate. He's highly specifically dressed, and it's just any other situation. I didn't hate it, Suzanne, but enjoyable is too big of a stretch. It was all right. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't really good. It was the story was a confusing mess, and they did not explain themselves a lot. I'll give you another thing. There was a forced unity in the franchise. There was an attempt to tie together all the Mission Impossible plots, and it felt desperate and incoherent. Here and there, it kind of worked. We revisited the guy from the very first movie who they gave the nausea pills to. Whatever. Remember they had the Black Ops server room for CIA, and Tom Cruise has to break in that big stunt. Hey, what's going on, Gavin? Welcome to the show. Do me a favor if you can. Tweet out that I'm live. Let people know. Like, do it off the browser. It wakes YouTube up. It's a sleepy Tuesday, and I'm just giving people my review of the movie Mission Impossible. I'll get into the actual review later. The headline is 4 out of 8. I'm working my way there, so still plenty of time. I gave my initial thoughts, and then I'll expand. So the forced franchise unity didn't work. There was Rocco the Brave calculated 30 minutes of flashbacks. I could believe it. There were a lot of flashing back. We saw Emilio Estevez's character throughout. We saw Emilio Estevez's Mission Impossible 1 character 2 or 3 times, rippled through marbled throughout the movie, giving Tom Cruise a fist bump. Looking up at the top of the elevator shaft that's coming at him. Hacking away at his 1995 Windows laptop. We saw so many flashbacks to the first movie. It was messy. So that and the forced franchise unity, it didn't need to incorporate all these movies. I think what happens is in the Cavill movie, they realize that they're getting close to the end. They know they have a couple more movies, but they're getting close. Thanks, Suzanne. They realize that they're getting close to the end when they get to the Cavill one, which, if I have this right, is 6, right? So 6, Henry Cavill. 7, they introduce this dead reckoning idea. And 8, the plot is a mashup. Mission Impossible Final Reckoning attempts to wrap up the franchise with an ambitious mashup of Star Trek's Dagger of the Mind and the movie Colossus, The Forbin Project, with a dash of the Terminator prequel vibe. Hey, Andy Morrow, it's great to see you. It's great to be on YouTube telling everybody about Mission Impossible 8. I wish I had better news. I wanted this movie to be great. Listen to this one. We're going to try to wrap up and unify all of these movies in one. We had flashbacks to everything. I didn't see anything that I specifically remembered was Mission Impossible 2. That seems to be the one that they were able to walk away from and just forget about. Mission Impossible 2 seems to be the left out stepchild. But let's face it, that one, not very good, right? Mission Impossible 2, not the best. So at any rate, with Mission Impossible 8, there was about a half hour of flashbacks. They had Terminator prequel vibes. Here's the deal. The plot revolves around Ethan and his team battling an AI villain that controls, by the middle of the movie, half of the world's nukes, aiming to prevent a Judgment Day style apocalypse. Unfortunately, the high concept premise stumbles. It stumbles right out of the gate, and it stumbles under its own weight. It's delivering a bloated, uneven, and often frustrating cinematic experience, okay? The film's strengths lie in its action sequences and its visual appeal most of the time. The set pieces are pulse-pounding, as you'd expect from the Mission Impossible series. There are dizzying stunts that'll keep your adrenaline flowing. Haley Atwell, as a key player in the ensemble, is a standout. There's 2 things standing right out front about her performance. You know what they are. She brings charm and intensity to her own role while looking effortlessly captivating, and that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. She is like Sigourney Weaver's character in Galaxy Quest. She basically repeats what the computer says a lot. However, the highlights are not enough to salvage the movie bogged down by significant flaws. Now I'm going to get into some specifics. Ready? In one more paragraph of non-spoilers, you have a moment more, and I'll tell you, when I'm getting into it. But we're getting close. I'm going to tell you about everything before we're done. The dialogue's a major misstep, guys. Often clunky. Tom Cruise movie dialogue is the pathway to many narratives, some considered to be unnatural, with lines from Haley Atwell like, "Let's speak as humans, not as Americans and Russians," delivered in her British accent. She's like, "We can't be partisan here. We're not just Americans and Russians." And it's like, who made you an American, lady? Now, I realize that if you Google it, Haley Atwell has dual citizenship and 1 parent from each, but her accent is what it is. It's not a hybrid to me. It sounds British to me. She sounds like she's from England to me. So, that's that. She's saying we're not just Americans and Russians in a non-American accent. So that's sort of what, like they couldn't think of something better. It's like, how about like, we're not just fighting for flags here, but for all of humanity. That would have been easier, no. Script's attempt to restate the stakes often feels patronizing as the film itself doubts its own coherence, and it's right to. The thing is, repeating that, like, the things that we see, and look at that, we've got the chat on screen. It's taken us a while to get to this point, and I can't control the size or anything. I just tried to, maybe mess with it a little bit. It's not going to do anything, but what would we have there? That's the way it's set up to be. If there's a way to mess with it, I just don't know. But, cool. Your chats are now on screen with no effort from me. So after nearly 3 hours of this, right? So that's what this movie gives you. 2 hours, 48 minutes, I think. And I don't think that includes credits. So dialogue, terrible and unnatural. Rule Britannia, says Gavin. Exporting our chicks for centuries. Dude, she's so hot. Haley Atwell is so good looking that when this movie goes to the depths of dumb, and I'm talking like Tom Cruise in the middle of this movie dies and just isn't dead. He just isn't dead. He dies. I don't know if that was the original ending or another ending. This is a lot. It's got Dial of Destiny problems, like where there's stuff floating around in the middle there that's unintroduced. But maybe the only member berry I liked was from the first Black Ops room in movie 1 in the CIA safe, where he has to go and steal the list of disavowed agents to put together his new team. The one where he drops in from the ceiling and he's sort of flying around. That gets referenced. It looks like they got the same actor back. The guy that they distracted and got out of the computer room so they could steal the list. The guy who discovers the knife. Looks like they got him back. Now, the bad guy in this movie is an AI. All right? It's an AI. So it's not really something for that Desilu franchise. You would think that this was a Star Trek plot with it's a self-aware AI, and it has like the only thing that's saving humanity from the AI winning outright, because it's coming really close, is like the AI has faced the trolley problem, but it did not trolley its way out of it the right way. It was the AI's priorities are delete everyone ASAP. But it's exactly that. It's very, very wooden and boilerplate. It must delete everyone as soon as possible. However, the idea that the computer and the program, it's just a program. It's a file that's able to like move itself around. It's self-aware. So this God particle freaking computer file is able to go from computer to computer, jumping around the way a zombie jumps hosts, right? And also, for some reason, there are people worshiping the AI. The AI has like a big following. There are people who are willing to help society topple so that they can live under the AI. It's like, let me be the first to welcome our insect overlords. It's that cringe and that's weird. It's that weird. And, the logical inconsistencies, all right? The plot's central and AI antagonist, while conceptually intriguing, is undermined by nonsensical stakes. Why would an AI controlling half the world's nukes hesitate to act until it secures all of them? This is a logical inconsistency coupled with questionable details, like wondering about the nuclear submarine's fuel capacity. I went to the military museum as a kid, right? Here in New York, there's one at the Intrepid. It's an air power museum, right? It's a Navy aircraft carrier from World War II, retired in New York Harbor, and they told me there that the capacity of a nuclear submarine, fuel wise, it's limited by the amount of food it can carry only. It can recycle its air pretty much infinitely. I'm sure it gets pretty rife, but it can. It can do a lot of stuff, and it has like maybe a year or two worth of food on it. But the thing is, it has 20 years before you need to swap out what you would consider fuel. In a nuclear reactor, what you would consider fuel takes a long time to swap out. You have nuclear fuel rods powering your submarine. So that conversation was nonsensical. And also the idea that the particle, whatever you want to call it, the AI's name is... Dominion? I don't know. I forget. But the AI, it's painfully boring and it's self-aware. And the thing is, it's got control of like 4 or 5 of the world's top nuclear assets, nuclear arsenals. And that is like in itself enough to destroy most of the world, right? But it will not act, says Nick Offerman playing a general. It will not act until it has control of 100% of the world's arsenals. So, DEI hire, president, Angela Bassett, who's an okay actress, but is forced to deliver this with so much intensity, it's laughable. She's got this choice: blow up part of the world or blow up all the world. Okay, so the logical inconsistency, coupled with questionable details like a nuclear submarine's fuel capacity driving the narrative, makes it very hard to buy into this story. At nearly 3 hours, the film feels painfully overstretched. The attempt to tie together the entire Mission Impossible franchise into a single unifying plot comes across as forced. It makes the movie more convoluted, and it drains the storyline into a single unifying plot. It really impedes the momentum. Going back to restate, remember like 5 movies back? It's doing stuff like that. By the 40% mark, I had to look and see how much time was remaining. And I realized that the pacing really drags. There is still like 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half left in that movie, an hour in. Hour 47 minutes are left after an hour. An hour and 47 minutes can be its own movie. So you're like, after watching an hour of this movie, the movie starts, is basically the way to look at the runtime. I know that I say this a lot about movie runtimes, but 2 hours really is something of a sweet spot. 2 hours 20, 2 hours 30. You're on the edge. 2:47, that's really getting up there. You're so close to 3 hours. All right, Wakanda Forever was in the same time, like, relative zone, and that one was like long and slow and bloated as well. But this movie is better, much better than that. But here we go. At nearly 3 hours, it's overstretched. It's like a bit of butter scraped over too much bread, if you know what I'm saying, guys. And Ethan Hunt's argumentative tendencies, particularly during high-stakes moments like disarming a nuclear warhead, make him less likable and disrupt this team's chemistry. Supporting performances, including Angela Bassett as the president, add little to elevate this narrative. And gender swap Paris is now a blonde woman who understands but does not speak the American language, Gavin. She don't speak American. I guess to her it's English, but to her, like, to me, like, she can't. Here's the thing: they speak to this character in English, right? They speak to her in American, and she'll be like, "This is really dangerous. We have to do this, this, and this, and the chances are long." And she'll just be like, "Bon chance." It'll be, translated on screen. Good luck. And they're like, "Yeah, okay." They respond to it. Then they sometimes speak in French to her, but not always. So it's dumb. She refuses to speak English just to be like mysterious. So comparisons to other films didn't help Final Reckoning's cause. All right. I noted that it had For Your Eyes Only, that for the Bond movie For Your Eyes Only tells a very, very similar story. But it tells it in about 2 hours and 5 minutes, okay? Effectively, the AI-driven apocalyptic threat, while fitting for Star Trek or the Colossus Forbin stories, feels out of place in Mission Impossible's universe, where grounded espionage typically reigns with a little bit of hacking, right? By the way, no one pulls off a false face to show who they really are in this movie either, which has been something they've been going with forever. So everybody's over that, the nanotech face mask. Everyone's over it. We didn't see it in the MCU. It looks like Captain Sam Falcon Man will be the last major appearance of the nanotech mask. Ultimately, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning is a disappointing cap to the franchise. I'm sorry, guys. It delivers on action. It does. And it boasts a magnetic performance from Haley Atwell as well as Tom Cruise. It's a bloated runtime, though. It's bloated runtime. It's weak dialogue. It's incoherent plot. And all the other things make it a slog. Fans of the series are going to find moments to enjoy. I did. But for many, this mission feels far from accomplished. 4 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10. Yeah, Mission Impossible M5 might have been better. Honestly, Mission Impossible M5 would have had a better chance of entertaining because, yeah, it was an AI, but like this AI shows up in the last movie. As far as I can tell, it does seem like, how do you put it? Out of nowhere, they had this little, it's a lot like Quantum of Solace where they try to stitch the first 2 Bond movies with Daniel Craig together and it doesn't work at all. And it left me sort of more shaken than stirred. And like, they're dropping these major plot details. And I'm like,
it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
And I didn't, you know what I mean? And the movie, like an hour in, you look and there's like 107 minutes left. And all you can think of to yourself is, And I didn't. I did not care. It didn't matter. It was really boring, and the stunts were great. So every once in a while, we get to a stunt, and you're just like, okay, that was cool. But then, like, you're wondering.
I ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
And what could be? Why? Why are these things happening? Who created this particle? Was it a couple of movies back? They don't exactly try to explain it to us. Computer! Please help me understand what the hell is going on in this thing. I did not understand. A lot of this movie was in flashback. A lot of this movie didn't matter. A lot of this movie was it was nonsensical to the point where you're asking questions.
God need with a starship.
And other stuff like that. It didn't make sense. It was boring. It was wild in the stunts. I liked the stunts. That part was good. But as far as the script,
Dare you?
It didn't make sense. We could have used a little more exposition that wasn't edgy.
Saying that I crushed her skull and that I shot her.
Final judgment, 4 out of 10. I can't do any better for you than that. Like I said, I had some reasons to do this. The next story, guys, is Macron and wife. Macron and wife coming up next, so don't you worry. We've got more news too. But again, I'll read you my headline again. I just sat through it. Man, it was a total letdown. I was bored. Didn't have the energy to be confused by the plot, which was a mess. I just stopped caring. It tried way too hard to tie everything together. I only liked one or two of the references. The reference to movie one. There's even a thing where it's just like, the President of the United States, played by Angela Bassett, here's this terrible, terrible news, right? Seems such a shame that everything but a good script. They did. We see people talking about Judgment Day like over and over in this movie. And when we see what was probably a big set piece in the original movie broken up into different conversations, it's like getting a little Genesis device explanation moment. There are so many moments, I would say about 5 in this movie. My score is a 4 out of 10, Krimlon. And I enjoyed going to see the movie. Krimlon went to see the movie with me. I thought he might have been asleep. He was a couple of seats away. There was like popcorn and stuff in the seats between us. Krimlon, on the way out of the movie, he was just shaking his head. He didn't tell me what he felt. But if you have a rating or a score, Krimlon, go ahead and put it into the chat. Thank you for buying me the ticket to the movie, Krimlon. That was really nice, and it's a really great service. The movie looked beautiful. It looked crisp. It was just edited really weird. There's too many weird things going on in there. It wasn't quite a total letdown, but I was very, very bored. It tried way too hard to tie everything together. Ethan Hunt is definitely dead like 4 or 5 times in this movie with zero explanation. 1 minute he's doomed. The next he's chilling with the person who's patching him up. It was really crazy, Krimlon. And hello to you. And Gavin saying hello to Krimlon. And it's good to see Krimlon say hello back to Gavin. We got a community here. Here comes Mark Harkness. I've never seen any Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies. They are Mission Impossible in name only. And I will tell you the truth. The first MI movie was one of the first battles lost in fighting for our franchises. Yeah, its heart was sort of in the right place, but it was like it did subvert and destroy Mr. Phelps. Something it tries to undo in this movie, by the way, guys. It tries to buy back the Mr. Phelps character assassination just a little bit, but that was some bullshit from movie 1. The thing I came away with was that these movies have never had a deep and abiding substance of their own. They're fucking weird. They're okay. For a while, they were big budget Bourne Identity movies. They always had some Bond DNA thrown in, but this one is a little worse than the other ones, and I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it. Now, while I don't disrecommend it, if you want to go to a theater, if you want to see a movie, you'll have fun every 10 minutes for 2 or 3. This is not beating your face against the wall to have to get away from the stupidity. But fuck me, was it ever slow, right? The sight gag out of The Spy Who Loved Me was the end of Spy Who Loved Me. Remember when he escapes from whatever his fate is, and he's kind of getting it on with Ringo Starr's wife, and the escape pod they're in pops to the surface and starts bobbing around, and then all the British people all the British sailors can see that him and this chick are sort of like, getting round in third, heading for home. And, all of a sudden it's like they start to play Nobody Does It Better and the movie's over. They do that with Tom Cruise. It's like he's dead. We don't know why he's not dead. The screen goes black. Next thing we know, it's him in wet t-shirt Haley Atwell. So that was like, all right, I like wet t-shirt Haley Atwell, but why isn't he dead like he did, like we thought? When someone we kind of like got away with tearing down what was, that signaled to Kennedy and Kurtzman they could get away with doing the same. That's an interesting hypothesis. I have to admit, I haven't dedicated enough mental energy to figuring it out, but let me try to augur that for a moment here. I've always said the first assault was on Star Trek. The thing is that the dogma and the ideology of the really, really woke and weird had been developed by then. It's just that people like you and I didn't know about it because we're normal and Hollywood isn't always normal. Excuse me, but it's really hot in here. I got to turn on my AC for a moment to cool it off. Once it gets above 70 here in the Big Apple, you can count on it to be like about 85 degrees in apartments because the heat radiates up, right? So what happened with Mission Impossible was it wasn't that they set out to subvert it. They didn't write a great movie, and it fell into the subversion trope to establish Ethan Hunt. They tried a little too hard to make Ethan Hunt, and they pulled off, he was And by the way, they bring back Kittredge in this one from the first movie, but Kittredge got like contact lenses, so you got to look really hard, and it's been 30 years. The only thing they should have tried was uniting it to Mission Impossible 1. Cramming in the middle movies, it had the Aliens Romulus effect. So I don't know that they were trying to hurt themselves and they were trying to admit. This movie was not woke, if anyone's wondering that. This movie was not woke. Was it great? Not in the least. It wasn't a great movie. It wasn't woke, but the thing is, you might have had woke plot elements just chopped right out of there because there's people surfacing in the middle of this movie, swirling around in the middle, and they have no real purpose there. They go away, they come back in the end, and it was meh. So 4 out of 10, would you think that's fair? It's like, it's not a 6. It's not a 3. It's a 4 or a 5. It's a watch. I have said that. If you watch it, you're going to get 2 or 3 minutes. That's good. After about 10 minutes of it dragging, the movie will drag for 10 minutes. Then you'll get an action scene that goes 3 or 4 minutes long. But like to give you an idea of if you think too hard on this one, when the bad guy named Gabriel confronts Tom Cruise at a location that is a secured site, it's just like, think Terminator 3 here. The God particle wants to jump into whatever it is that's making... It wants to jump into a secure server, attack the world with all the nuclear arsenals in the world. It's not going to use any of them until it has all of them. That's the one thing it's doing. It's thinking like a computer, but it's thinking like a 1980s computer. The good news about this is that much of the movie at least makes sense, unlike a lot of the rest of the movie. So the God particle needs to go somewhere, isolate itself, do what it has to do, launch all nukes at once, and it's reckoned that it will take 100 milliseconds. So what they're going to do is they're going to lure the God particle, this weird computer program, they're going to lure it to an Arctic Circle CIA/IMF team base where the guy from MI1 who got had in the computer room now lives with his Inuit wife, and he's happy he got sent there. He hasn't gone crazy, but he's a little squirrely, and he's got a crazy beard. It does look like it might just be the same actor. And he repeats the story about how Kittredge sent him there. Beat for beat, it's the same story. Sitting at a 5, maybe a 5.5, but I like stupid action movies. That's a perfect justification. People are going to know that my 4 is a Crimlon 5.5 because they know me. I try to just be very consistent in my movies. So since I've been harsh with other movies, I don't want to give this thing a break just because of Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise, a few things that he's linked to that ain't too cool. Last night, I want to thank Sean for having everybody on. It wasn't really the time and place to get into weird stuff like there's a lot of questions about the labor that went into building Tom Cruise's mansion and if anybody got paid for it or whether they had to do it because of their belief system. There was a lot of questioning about more than a handful of people who Tom Cruise knows who were not in his circle so much as he knew them, but they were in the Scientology circle who have just disappeared. Google Shelley Miscavige. Hello, Trek reviewer. Good to see you, my friend. I'm talking Mission Impossible 6. I gave it a 4. That means that you guys who know me know where I'm coming from with it and have a very good chance to get a meaningful take from my review. Here's the deal. After 8 movies, though, I would have thought the Mission Impossible series would have its own identity. But nope. It's just Tom Cruise doing wild, well-shot stunts and not much else. I saw at the end the final fight was a little bit based on Living Daylights, where they're fighting from one plane to another plane and dropping from one plane onto a plane. Now, there's not as much trying to sail and glide through the air. And wow, we got a nice amount of people here. Do me a favor, if you're so inclined, here's what YouTube has been doing. It doesn't count your view unless the browser's open. If you could just watch with the browser open, even just for a few, 4 or 5 minutes, that's going to really establish and expand my analytical reach. We have been under an attack here for a couple of years, but apparently it finally ended. My hat's off to the name of peace and tranquility. It's good to have this time slot to myself, and it's good to see all of you here. It's fun to be able to relate to you this movie, and I wish I had different news, but I'm not condemning this one. Here's my bullet points, right? These are my bullet points. Why Mission Impossible Final Reckoning sort of sucks. Boring and disengaging. This plot dragged. Messy character appearances. They just show up and vanish randomly. It's hard to follow who's relevant and why. Forced franchise unity. I explained that one pretty in depth. It's that 3-word term says it all. They forced unity into the franchise really late in the game. Unexplained escapes. He survives a couple of fatal situations with no explanation. Dumber than Captain Sam Falcon Man in the escapes. Or equal. You can't get worse than getting stabbed right in the Corazon and being okay like Captain Sam did. Lack of originality. 8 movies in, like this, they're still doing Bourne Identity stuff. So, tempting to wrap up the franchise with an ambitious mashup. It reminded me of Dagger of the Mind from the original Star Trek series, and it reminded me of the story Colossus, the Forbin Project, where people build 2 essentially AIs to prevent nuclear war. And the AIs, there's this thing also, I talked about the trolley problem. Check out what's called the paperclip problem. This is the paperclip problem. I have a computer. Hey, John, what's up? What? Yo, go Yankees. Yes, go Yankees. The paperclip problem was an early problem posed to computer programmers about why computers might necessarily be bad, and people have tried to address it, but if not safeguarded against, most computers can revert to the paperclip problem. The paperclip problem is simply stated this. I program a computer to design a way to make paperclips. I then hook that computer into some sort of mainframe, with the ability to have like an automated factory where it can make drones, flying drones, excavation equipment, stuff to build a smelting plant. And then what it would first do is build all sorts of war drones, and it would try to exterminate everything that got in the way of it getting to the metal it needed and the alloys that it needed to create to make staples or paper clips, right? To make paper clips. So the first logical step in a computer with no emotion is a zero-sum game. That's what this movie's based on. The computers are zero-sum thinkers. So this computer is going to come at the entire world with its God particle entity, and it's going to try to give us basically Judgment Day. And in this movie, what it's going to do is the computer has made the decision that ending all life on this planet is the best way to go. And it doesn't back off of that in this movie. It's going to destroy all of us. But also, it's even dumber than that. It's going to destroy all of us on its own terms, which means rather than having enough nuclear weapons to destroy the entire world like 4 times over, it needs the other half so it can destroy the world 8 times over. It's pretty bad. Let me see if I can get some pictures for you on screen so it can give you some visual feedback. Here's some pictures from Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. This is where they're explaining the stakes yet again. They're in a tent in the Arctic. I think this is after they revive him from drowning. But basically they're talking about how they got to do this and get it right or they're all going to die. The margin of error. Hey, what's up, John? I said hi to John, but hello again. So there they are, our cast, our heroes. These are the 3 biggest principles. Here we go. Here's our team. On the far left is Mr. Paris. Next to him is someone whose name I never fucking got. Then we have Ethan Hunt. Then we have Simon Pegg's character. Then we have Grace, played by Haley Atwell. These are our cast, okay? These are our heroes. Here's one of the stunts. The thing is, this stunt is so good that while you're marveling at how amazing it is, they just turn around and do the same stunt again. He pulls that same stunt twice. Here's, a moment of satisfaction, completion. My gosh, we did it with Ethan Hunt and Simon Pegg. Here's President Angela Bassett. To the left of her is Secretary of Defense Nick Offerman. Everyone's shocked because she's about to cut power to all of the United States nuclear arsenal, which will leave us badly exposed to possible enemy attacks. And that's going to be a problem for us if she does this. But she's going to do it anyway, even though some people try to stop her so that this God particle can do its thing. Here we have Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames is in the beginning of this movie. He shows up. You would want to call it the middle, but it takes an hour to get going. So he's in the first hour of this movie, in and out of the movie. I don't know how much of a role he was supposed to play. Apparently, he's already fatally ill, or he's got some kind of problem. He's not going to make it anyway because they literally beam this device towards him where he has to pull out. It's a nuclear device that could get rid of a city. I forget which one. They're going to lose a lot of people. So what he's going to do is he's going to prevent the implosion he can't defuse the whole thing, but he can pull out some of the plastic explosives that detonates the uranium core that starts the chain reaction and the implosion that starts the nuclear explosion. So the only problem is it's the size of like a World War II bomb. It's going to get him, but he's definitely going to defuse the bomb. So Tom Cruise, like an idiot, starts interrupting him and reasoning with him and redirecting him as we're seeing this countdown start at like 2:26. And it's at like 1:01 before Tom Cruise decides he's going to run away from what would be the impact of a World War II battleship artillery shell. And he starts running through these underground tunnels. Ving Rhames actually says, "Got this piece of paper you should read. Take it. These tunnels going to collapse when I pull out one of these 9 detonators. Defusing this bomb going to be easy, but then I ain't going to make it. You better run." And for like 2 minutes in real time, which is like 40 seconds of movie time, Tom Cruise just sits there and argues with the guy. It's like there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives at stake. Just shut up. So the Paris character, obviously not the great Mr. Paris Leonard Nimoy. No. Paris is... There's Paris right there with the sunglasses. Paris is the only one in the shades. Paris's hair is different in the movie. She has a very short boy cut, and I do not remember this scene this way. They may have cropped her out because she looks so different. Paris has a short boy cut. Tom Cruise looks different. There's 3 different looks in this movie. This is the most prevalent. I think this is the primary shoot. Here you can see him looking just slightly different. His hair, a little bit different, slightly longer here, not a lot. He has the long-ish but not long hair look, except for a little bit here. She even says she likes his longer hair. Then we see him with shorter hair later. Here's his look, really. The primary look for the movie is just one haircut missed and grown out. You see him looking like this a lot, but this is how he walks around the movie with hair kind of like that. So it's not really the look we see in the poster. He looks different than what we're used to. And then I guess we just have nothing but Final Reckoning posters. So this is kind of, he's got the Orlando Bloom non-haircut. Then, pretty good logo. I mean, it does pull you in. Dead Reckoning Part 2 got dissed for Final Reckoning. They needed it. This looks like the earliest shoot. As you can see, Tom Cruise looking fairly fresh here with a lot more full of a head of hair. In this stunt, man, Tom Cruise's gloves just appear when he needs them, but fine. That's fine. He really is probably hanging over this. This looks very real. I don't know how high up in the air he was hanging, but like the wind in his face, very real. The wind hitting his cheeks, very real. These stunts are great. This moment lacked weight. This moment was a little LOL. This moment was pretty cool, but the thing is, Tom Cruise is a little bit of a child about it. We again pull out the same kind of knife we had before, and this is the explanation of how to beat this weird God particle. What their plan for this is they're going to beat this God particle by having it go to a certain place, luring it into what amounts to a USB stick, okay? It amounts to a giant USB stick, but it looks like the Tesseract. It kind of glows and stuff like that. So Once it's in the USB stick, it won't know it's there for a moment. In the time it's trapped, it's going to, without self-replicating itself, put in a massive nuclear strike order to all 8 of the world's top 8 nuclear arsenals. It only has 4 or 5 right now, so it's holding back. It's holding back on attacking. So until it gets to all of them, which it doesn't need. We all know it doesn't need all. Half will get rid of most of the planet. So whatever. The story kind of dumb, and so the action scenes are all you got here with this one. They are good. So Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt. Decent performance, but he looks different throughout the movie. Haley Atwell at 43 still looks 30. She looks great. She's beautiful. So's her assets. Ving Rhames is Luther. He does the best you can at this character. Simon Pegg is Benji Dunn. He does a fine job. He's fine. Isa Morales as the bad guy, Gabriel. Actually, he's fine. There's not enough to the movie. Palm Clementieff as Paris. Anyone could have done this role. I don't have anything against her for it, but it was only okay. Henry Czerny as Kittredge. As you can see, Kittredge here was back. They had to explain who he was over and over. Holt McElhaney as Serling. I'm trying to remember who that is. I think he might be right-hand man to the bad guy. Janet McTeer as Walters. She's another MI6 person. She may have been one of the uppy-ups. Here's the thing. We walk up on someone and say to them, here, take this piece of paper that the president gave me. So it's like clear and present danger that way, right? They break the wax seal. They open up the piece of paper on White House stationery, and all it has is a date and the initials of the president. So anyone could have written it. The date is May 22nd, 1996, which registered in my mind as, and then checked out to be, the date of the release of Mission Impossible 1. That's when the team gets killed in Prague, and they say, you lost someone that day. I lost someone that day. They don't say who. Is it the sister of Mr. Phelps? Is it the sister of one of the people who died? Is it the husband? I'm sorry, is it the wife of Emilio Estevez? We don't know. They don't tell us. I'm glad they didn't, but they don't tell us. So that character, whatever, with Janet McTeer. Nick Offerman as General Sidney. He was fine, but he's as ambiguous as his character in Civil War. He's like, Mr. President, I think you should consider the survival of all mankind before you decide that we shouldn't strike one of our own cities to avoid global Armageddon. And that's how Nick Offerman is in this movie. He's fine, but the movie just isn't good enough to support him. Tremel Tillman is Captain Bledsoe. This guy was the worst. This guy was the worst. He thought that he could save this movie by whispering. He really did. He did. He delivers all his lines like this. I'm serious. Here we go. You ready? Mr. Hunt, I don't know why you're here swimming under the ice cap, but we only have 60 seconds to contact your friends, and then I'm submerging again. End of the world or not. And you're just like, who talks this way? So he was terrible in that role. I don't know if it was him or not. Angela Bassett as Erica Sloan, President Sloan. Shea Wiggum as Briggs. This guy might be the grandson of Mr. Phelps, or the picture's old. The guy looked like Ralph Macchio now, okay? Greg Tarzan Davis as Degas. He is one of the, I think it's Degas. He's one of the IMF forces. Charles Parnell as Richards. Don't ask me. Mark Gaddis as Angstrom. I don't know, but this picture sure does look like fucking Ryan Wilson, doesn't it? What are his movies? Is he in a Tolkien movie? Is that where he looks familiar from? Time Bandits TV series, Mission Impossible Part 1. All right, Operation Mincemeat seems to be his war movie. Whatever, you can't tell World War I from World War II British war movies. But and Rolf Saxon as William Donlow, he's the guy who got sent to like the Arctic Circle for what Ethan Hunt did in there to get the ideas. Who else we got here? Shea Wiggum as Briggs. We talked about that. Charles Tarzan Davis. Mark Charles Parnell. My gosh. Why was that person in the movie? Rolf Saxon as William Donlow. Lucy Tulu-Glorick as Tapisa. Tapisa is the Donlo's like Inuit wife. She didn't need to be there. She also spoke Inuit and people could just understand her. Someone named Katie O'Brien is Kodiak. She might be one of the tough Navy chicks we see. Tom Cruise free dives. The times that they say he has to dive for without oxygen and stuff. 10-minute ascent without breathing. 10 minutes without only breathing out. You must continuously exhale for 10 minutes. Yeah, give that a try. Come on. So, Cary Elwes is in this as Denlinger, and I don't even know if I recognize him. He might have been one of the presidential features. Katie O'Brien as Kodiak. Stephen O'Young as Pills. Don't ask me. Tomas Paradias, so he's Hagar. Paul Bouillon, Shirley. Okay, Captain Koltsov is played by Pasha D. Linchikov. One of the problems in this movie is we have to get to a sunk submarine to get into its sonar array to get the original source code of the bad guy AI that's trying to destroy everybody, right? That's the deal. It's trying to destroy everybody. And a lot of people are just identified as acolytes of the AI. I'm trying to find the name of the AI. The Sevastopol is the name of the submarine that had the original source code. Here's what happened. The source code was implanted into the submarine. The submarine was trying to like whatever it was doing, its computer got infected. The source code has been rewritten many times by the AI itself, which is really self-aware. I have to ask Rock the name of the AI in Mission Impossible. That's how mad it was in Mission Impossible 8. I want to get you the actual name. The thing is, as we chase this God particle that can replicate itself, we find out that if this God particle is able to be stopped, it can only be with its original source code. So it's called the Entity. Thank you, Grok. The Entity is the name of the source code. And Mark was right there. Yeah, the Entity is the name of this weird Dominion-like AI right out of Terminator Genesis. It's stupid. It's stupid. Okay, so it's Dominion. Its Entity is the name of it. Its plan is still Judgment Day. This movie still is a mashup of Dagger of the Mind. At one point, they come across like a VR mask that you need to put on to get its reactions. Tom Cruise has to put on the VR mask and get into some sort of coffin-size sensory deprivation tank where he's going to let the VR like tell him what's going on, and he gets to see Judgment Day. It looks cool as hell. We see like a massive nuclear launch. We see massive nuclear impact. We see every single landmark city in the world well destroyed. It's very cool. The London Ferris wheel rolling through the city on fire. Lots of cool stuff like that. It was a good destruction sequence, but was it enough to make the movie? No. It did kill the boredom, though, because you're like, that was cool. That was cool. It was very clear AI. I want to see it one more time before I deem it as very good. But compared to like the AI in Section 31, compared to the AI in most movies today, dark and murky, this was quite clear. This was very, very easy to see. So I had a very clear idea of what was going on in the Judgment Day stuff, but they do it a few times because I guess they had so much Judgment Day stuff. It's like someone will start talking and then someone else will like continue. It's like we thought. Yes, it will be the end of the world. No, it can't happen. In 20 minutes, all nations on Earth will launch their nuclear weapons. And as that happens, like we segue to seeing the launches. And then whoever it is speaking, Simon Pegg or Tom Cruise, will continue. And at that point, there'll be no stopping it. And it's what the deal is the computer program has retreated to this place where it can be completely protected from, one, the deadly EMP pulse that's going to take out all other AIs and all technology, two, the nuclear war that's going to unleash, and then it can reintroduce itself to anything that might be left or anything that's made later. How? I don't know, as the critical drinker would say. I just don't know. But their plan is to go to the same sanctuary on this place. I think it's called St. Lawrence Island, but this island above the Arctic Circle, somewhere between the U.S. and Europe and the Atlantic. The idea for it is to go there, take refuge, launch the nuclear strike when it has all 10 of the largest world's nuclear arsenals, and then like wait out the aftermath and take control Judgment Day style. So the paperclip problem, wipe out all humanity so that you can make paper clips with no problems, no protest. Because, if you tell a computer to make paper clips, it'll think of every possibility and try to think its way for a one-size-fits-all solution. Back in the days of the paperclip problem, most computers are immune to it now, but you can still stump them with them. Kirk paperclip problems, a few AIs in the original series. It's like, you have erred twice. That is not, what price must the M5 pay for making two mistakes? And that just keeps going on and on, until the M5 can't take it anymore and realizes it's a logical mess and implodes. So, Mission Impossible 6, a lot of problems. Let's talk about something else. Whatever shall we talk about, Fraulein? All right. 4 out of 10 on Mission Impossible. So with that, I got to say thank you to Lombardi 1969, Gavin Blackburn, Miskatonic Madman, my wrench buddy Hepburn, Ithaca, West Cagle, good to see you, West Cagle. Captain Fandom Nerd, I said buddy, Obi2, Wrath of Kenobi, the Miskatonic Madman, Gavin Blackburn. It's good to see all of you, John the Beagle Dad. Everybody invoking our friends Bird of Prey 5, Crimlon was here, Mark Harkness was here. If I missed any of you, man, I'm really sorry. We had more concurrence than we had chats. It was good to see everybody. Please subscribe to my friends recommended on this page. Thank you, Ruby Hoof, so much for the gifted membership. You are a sponsor of today's show. Remember, Saving Star Trek and Teag's Intense Talk Show and Streaming for Vengeance are brought to you by the endless cycle of news, the endless current events, and, Star Trek fans like our pal who gave away a membership, Ruby Hoof, the financial support of viewers like you. So thank you very much for joining the Admiral Teague Hour, or 2 hours as it may be. Come on through later, give it a like and a love. I love you all, and I thank you, Lombardi 1969. Don't think I didn't see you there too. Thank you for being here. Thank you, and greetings to all Ruby Hoof. I hope that we put on a show befitting that generous gift of yours. I set out to entertain. We came to get ill, so everybody chill. Jump around. We came to get down, right? Everybody, I love you all. Thank you for being here. Tweet this out. And if you're coming through later, leave me a question or a comment. You guys are the best. Let everyone know. Admiral Teague will never give up. Never surrender. And Buddy Hepburn has the final key comment here. Yes, if you leave a comment on your way out, especially after you do what Buddy says, it's going to make a huge difference. Now, you guys have absolutely earned Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney has become sort of a staple of the Saving Star Trek show and the Saving Star Trek family. What can I tell you? We love Sydney Sweeney. We love her big, beautiful, bodacious assets. We think that she's the cure for the woke mind virus. I have to say that she is one of the most refreshing individuals on the earth. She's also really, really, really cool. She has no problem when she called us up this morning saying, go ahead and use that picture of me at the end of your stream, Admiral. We'd love it. We love the stream. So you guys get to see the tribute I made there on the way out. Might be time to make a new Sydney Sweeney tribute. I love making them. They're fun to make. So first, George Lucas on Star Wars, followed by Sydney Sweeney. I will be back Thursday around 10:30. I'll make up my mind then to address some of you in other time zones. Thank you so much. I love you all. George Lucas answering questions.
Do you want the Star Wars trilogy and the mythology to go beyond your lifetime?
No. 3 will be the last film, and it'll be a 6-part series, and that'll be the end of it.
Incorrect. You're not mentoring someone to take over for you?
No, it's
automatic defense procedures initiated.
There may be other venues for it, but not in the theatrical release.
Affirmative.
I don't want to have it just sort of turn into Star Trek. I don't want to have it just sort of turn into Star Trek.